This guy did a parody of Captain Kirk and the rest of the crew of the Star Trek Enterprise happening to stumble across a CNN broadcast featuring little Brian and wondering what the heck is going on.
What about a talk show host?
Talk show host, that's good.
I think I'd be good at that. I talk to people all the time.
But we wanted to start with what appears to be, potentially, the beginning of a massive cable news ratings crash across the board.
You just hate to see it, Crystal. Let's throw this up there
Breaks
on the
my heart to
screen.
cover this story,
CNN
guys.
primetime ratings have crashed 44% in the first week of the Biden era.
Captain of the Stupids, Lieutenant Colonel of the Stupids, George Costanza Stelter.
Now look, to be fair to them, their ratings are high because of inauguration, so
Yes.
take that with a grain of salt. But it's true. What are these people going to cover? I mean, their boogeyman is gone. Now what's the topic? How great Joe Biden is? Nobody wants to watch that, literally.
Don't you dare act like newsrooms didn't have ethics in 2017 and 2018.
Well, I know they did. Well, you can don't dare me all you want, Brian. I've been doing this for 30 years. So say whatever you want. It's my view. And I have a right to say it. I was
So
invited
your
on
view is that the news media was unethical with Mueller?
I mean, and there's only so much that they can milk, like impeachment. Even then, the impeachment news has been coming out. It's just such a snooze. It's like Trump fired his lawyer. And they're like, oh my God, we can go back to this. Like the lawyers. And they try and do like the breaking news chyron. It's like, nobody cares, guys. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
And so they're screwed.
Let's just all remember, the claims about bias in tech platforms are anecdotal, not backed up by data or science. These are stories, not statistics. Ow. But we're probably going to hear more of that from the Republicans in the coming minutes.
I mean, the other piece here, which is highly ironic, is the people who protested against Trump the most vociferously were also, in large cases, the ones who benefited and literally profited and made careers off of him. Cable news was in a bad place.
They were dead.
Before Trump came along.
But I think there's a difference between reporters looking into it in their newsrooms versus going on the air with it when it's unvetted. And what we're in right now is
break. You never did that with Trump stuff. That's just BS.
Hang on a second, Susan. Go ahead, Brian.
Whatever. Yeah,
You have no idea how this
Susan,
newsroom
just a second.
operates.
If you both speak, we can't hear either of you. Brian, go ahead.
I understand. Let me just say briefly, it's grievance politics. It comes from the right. It happens every day. Newsrooms in America are very careful about this stuff.
The ratings were down. It was boring. It was tired. All of these networks executives were, oh my God, all these cord cutters, like young Americans aren't watching our networks. What are we going to do? We're kind of screwed here because we don't really understand the digital space whatsoever. We don't know how to create content that appeals to this generation. And so they were really in a tight spot. Trump rescued them. Now they got to go back to that place. And you see places like, MSNBC and NBC offering their Peacock streaming channel. Like you see them trying to figure this thing out. But Trump really hid a lot of the fundamental problems within cable news, made everyone attached to cable news, which is a terrible thing for the country. So we should all be cheering for people to be turning them off.
But I think it's also our role to stand up for decency and morality, especially if others won't. Journalists, after all, work with a code of ethics. We have and we try to enforce standards. And when we fall down on those standards, we try to learn from those mistakes.
Costanza, who hosts the third-rated show. It's only a three-way race, meaning you're last. This dude is in a three-way race and always finishes last on CNN. He has a show, I'm not kidding. Our weekly audience is bigger than this loser. We have a podcast at 1,000th, 1 millionth of the cost these idiots can put on his Coffee Boy show, and we're smoking this loser. And he talks about Sean Spicer not having career opportunities. But Brian Stelter, if he got fired tomorrow, Brian Stelter would be selling hot dogs on 46th and 6th. He'd have a Sabret stand. And by the way, I love people who work for a living. You guys are better than this dip. Oh my God. Stelter talking about career opportunities. This guy was the coffee boy for the CEO of CNN. Do you understand he only has a show on CNN because he's become fodder for the other networks who make fun of him? This is the biggest, this is the king of the idiots. If there was a village of idiots, I'm telling you, this guy's the witch doctor. He is the monarch of the village of idiots. He is Captain Idiot.
And journalists can help lead the way by talking about morality and ethics.
Listen, I love your show. I just wish you wouldn't turn to the camera and lecture America about the virtues of the media.
You know, it allowed people also to feel like if they're watching Rachel Maddow, they're doing, it's like, you know, going to a protest or like being like a community organizer. Like it made them feel like they were actually doing something. And that's just not true. It's a reality show.
For a lot of people.
It's infotainment. It's unhealthy. It's bad for the country. And so that's why we have some schadenfreude here watching these numbers.
Absolutely.
Hysterically, this guy's show is titled Reliable Sources. Whatever the joke is, it's on Reliable Sources. That's the title of this guy's show. Then he makes fun of Fox. He goes, Sarah Sanders is working for Fox. Gee, we expect that. You just hired Andy McCabe. The guy is literally under federal investigation for lying. And CNN, a news network, just hired. Oh my gosh. You just hired a dude who is literally under investigation for lying. And you're talking about credibility issues with Sarah Sanders at Fox? Oh.
Can you hear it in the office? You know, we need a little credibility here. What do you think of this McCabe guy?
Perfect! 2 thumbs up! Yeah. And then Potato Head Stelter walks in there.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, watch it!
Sorry there, old spudhead.
That's a great idea! What a reliable source he is! We're gonna have an issue putting him on here. He's actually under investigation for lying. Let's put him on Reliable Sources, it'll be perfect! Oh my gosh! Dude. And then you got Costanza opening. You think he'd be hiding this? There's more. And he goes on talking about the Trump administration's problems with credibility. This loser promoted the conspiracy hoax for 2 years. For 2 years. This complete life loser, Coffee Boy. He promoted the hoax for 2 years. You're talking about credibility issues with Spicer? This guy shouldn't even be on. This guy's not worthy of the National Enquirer.
Money. Donald Trump has been very, very good for baseball. He has been wonderful for the industry. Your boss acknowledged as much a number of months ago during the campaign.
Les Moonves.
Donald Trump, huh?
It was Les Moonves who acknowledged it.
Les Moonves also acknowledged it, but so did the head of CNN.
But that means what? If ratings are up, that means what?
The ratings are up. It means you can't do without Donald Trump. You would be lost without Donald Trump.
Well, that is what he says.
Ted, you know that's not true.
CNN's ratings would be in the toilet without Donald Trump.
You know that's not true. You're playing for laughs. You've lived through enough presidencies to know there will be more presidents.
What were the ratings before Trump and what are the ratings now?
I would say we might be up 20, we might be up 30%, we might be up 40%. If we go back down 40%, that's okay too.
Well, it may not be okay.
Of course it is. No, but hold on. I reject the premise that these networks are making so much money off of Trump and thus we benefit from it.